And Jared Goff, 22 of 27, 277. That first down salts it away as the Lions collect their first playoff win in 32 years. 1991, the last time Detroit was able to go to the postseason and claim a game. This was a day they waited 30 years for to even see playoff football in that building. The first playoff game in the history of Ford Field. And it's not Matthew Stafford, it's Jared Goff walking away a winner. Back in studio, Joe Musso alongside Bryant McFadden. B-Mac,
yes,
this is a moment for the city, and we'll get there, but this was, to this point, the most highly contested playoff game we've seen thus far.
Yeah.
What was the difference? I mean, scoreboard says 1 point, but in your eyes, what made the difference in this game?
Red zone efficiency for one team, the Detroit Lions, red zone woes for the other in the Los Angeles Rams. The numbers, the red zone for the Lions, 3 for 3. Every time they got into the red zone, they scored touchdowns. Remember their first 3 offensive drives in the first half, Joe, they had 21 points. That was the deciding factor. Then when you factor in the Los Angeles Rams, they were 0 for 3 in the red zone. They settled for too many field goals in prime positions to put points on the scoreboard. Playoff football is all about scoring points. Ideally, touchdowns, because field goals will only get you so far, and that was the difference in this ball game. For them to only lose by 1 point, if they just scored on one of those opportunities, they would have easily won this ball game.
It was a moment to behold, and those final moments specifically for this city. 1991.
91.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, your Bulls won a championship, the very first against the Rams,
and then
against the Lakers.
And then 5 more is what came after that, but that is not where we're going in this one. Mac, you played for a team, and different cities have different relationships with those teams. Pittsburgh's one of the great ones. The towels get going, the fans get rocking. The relationship between the Lions and their fans, it's a rocky one because the team didn't give the fan base back what it had given to them for 30 years. Finally, they get their moment.
Yes.
How do you sort of put that idea into words when you see what we saw unfold there for the fans in Detroit?
In certain cities, when it comes to the NFL franchise, that team fits the city. The Detroit Lions has the mentality of every individual there in the city of Detroit. Blue collar, hard working, they don't mind getting their hands dirty, and they want to win. Unfortunately for this fan base, it's been such a long time since having the mindset that we could legit win. And Dan Campbell comes in with this new mantra, and oh, by the way, he fits the city because you look at his coaching style, he's a hard coach that does it the hard way, the old school way, and it fits everything that circulates in the city of Detroit. That's why you see so many fans now sharing tears with each other because they went through the bad times, the hard years where everyone was just laughing about the Detroit Lions. Oh, the 1 in 15 years and things like that, not having a shot, to going from that type of disappointment to now expectations that are super high, and they believe they can achieve those expectations.
Grown men in tears, people kissing logos.
Babies,
it's a sight to behold.
kids, like it's a good time to be alive in Detroit right now.
You said it there, though. It's a head coach that promised a lot of things to this fan base, and he has lived up to those promises this year. Dan Campbell and the Lions pulling off the W in the wild card round.
Wow.
Losing streak was 9. I mean, they didn't get there often, and when they did, it ended quickly. You know what ended? This streak. It's a playoff victory, 32 years in the making for the Detroit Lions. Back in studio post-game brought to you by Empower. Get your financial health on point and empower what's next. Bryant McFadden, we'll talk about what's next for the LA Rams in a moment here, but this was a solid performance. Take away Matthew Stafford going home, Jared Goff run out of town. Take all that away. Playoff football on the road, it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And the LA Rams rode that momentum into this moment and almost stole one here on the road. How did they remain effective in the face of all of that?
Man, this is a well-coached team. Like I said, you know, today, last week, the week before, I think this was the best coaching performance by Sean McVay as the head coach with the Rams since the year they won the Super Bowl. Because what he was able to accomplish this year with a bunch of unknown guys Go back to the month of August. We didn't know who Puka Nacua was. We didn't know what he could do. We didn't know who Kyron Williams was and what he could do if given the opportunity to be a feature guy. You look at Turner on the defensive side, a rookie. Like a lot of young guys who we didn't really know about and had concerns with, they coached them in a way for them to be successful, and they consistently put them in positions to be successful. And you factor in all the adversity as well, missing their best offensive player in Cooper Kupp for the first month of the season, and still finding ways to be competitive, relevant, and win ball games and keep the ship afloat to be able to get into the playoffs. Man, this was an unbelievable coaching performance. And yet and still, they were one play, one possession away from beating the Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the NFC. So this is a Rams team. I understand they might be a bit disappointed. Right now, the fan base might feel some type of way, and they should, but they need to hang their head high because I believe the future is bright. And oh, get this. I don't remember the last time the Rams had the luxury of selecting a first rounder. Correct me if I'm wrong, they have a first-round pick this season.
Mortgaged that future to go win that Super Bowl, got Matthew Stafford, did just that, and still remained effective in the draft. Fifth-round picks in Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. I mean, you're looking at 9 for 181 and a touchdown for Puka Nacua. Announces himself on a postseason stage, but still, they come up 1 point short here against such a story in the Detroit Lions. And maybe it was billed as Matthew Stafford's return to the building that he built in some ways, but this was also a quarterback pushed out of L.A.
No question.
In Jared Goff. What does this moment mean to Jared Goff, and not just the way he performed, the road ahead, but his relationship with this fan base that has been endearing to him, and he endears himself here in the biggest moment?
This was personal for Jared Goff. Anytime someone tells you you're not good enough for them, you're not doing a job, the job good enough for them, and they basically say, we don't want you here, we feel like this guy is better, it's personal. It does something to your confidence. It does something to the motivational side of things for you as a competitor. And for him to get an opportunity to play against his former team that drafted him first overall, that eventually said, you know what, you're the reason why we're not going to where we need to go.
The weakness.
You're the Achilles heel for what we're doing. Move on, get this opportunity, and to defeat them in the way that you did. Oh, man, this is a great moment for Jared Goff. And kudos to Jared Goff in being able to be battle-tested, to go through that adversity and not allow what the Rams felt about him to stand in front of him to prevent him from being a successful quarterback, because he has had moments where he's shown flashes of being a really good quarterback, especially within this organization, the Detroit Lions. And they would not be where they currently sit if it wasn't for Jared Goff. The structure, the ability to be steady, right, and make plays. Even today, when things seem to be a little iffy for their offense, he stood in the paint and he delivered. And that, you know, that just shows all of us. You go through adversity, especially in the game of sports, because at some point in time, someone is going to say, we don't think you're good enough. But it's up to you to go prove those naysayers wrong with the opportunity that you receive and make the most of it. And he's doing a phenomenal job in doing so.
Was the highest completion percentage in the history of Detroit Lions postseason football. Jared Goff on this night. You know what Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions get? Another home football game. That's right. Those fans going to be on their feet in the divisional round. Winner of Tampa Bay, Philadelphia on Monday will make a trip to Detroit.
Yes, sir.
This is the list. This is revenge personified. And on this night, that revenge belongs to Jared Goff. Put on a different uniform, take on your former team, and come away a winner. The first since Brett Favre in 1995. Plenty more coming on CBS Sports HQ. Historic scenes in the Motor City. Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions playing on. We got plenty more coming next.